Good morning, everybody. I'm waiting for the last couple of people to come out of the waiting room and join us. I think we have everybody in here. Hi, good morning. I'm so glad to see so many of you joining us today, especially in the QA realm. And I think it's great that we got a morning slot because we know how QA goes after lunch. So I'm pleased to see everybody. My name is Audrey Johnson. I am the manager of the Quality Assurance branch at EPA Region 9. And I am joined by Lisa Gover, and I can see her, her video is on. And she's going to be saying a few words in the introduction here too. And then also by Melinda Ronca-Battista from ITEP, who's going to be showing or demoing a lot of the tools that ITEP actually has available to help you write your QAPPs. I know it's not an easy process. I know it's something that a lot of people struggle with. It is a necessary requirement if you receive EPA grants. And so I'm so pleased that Melinda is joining us today to talk about some of the tools that she has that could help you within that process. Lisa, do you want to say anything? Oh, you're on mute, Lisa.
It's a good thing I'm on mute. I just wanted to say good morning to everybody and thank you for joining us. I do have an ulterior motive for being on this particular webinar slot, and that is we're still looking for and still want to recruit a co-chair for the quality assurance work group. And so if you're at all interested, and I've already pulled in a few of you guys and tried to talk you into it, we'd sure like to know if you're interested, and we sure need the help. And I think we're going to have a great session here. Melinda is top line with knowing how to get QAPPs done. Am I looking at the wrong place? But she has helped us out a great deal, and ITEP's tools are just incredible. So thank you. Have a good session.
Okay, so I think Melinda, you're up. I do want to remind everybody that if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. I already see that people are signing in their names and organizations, and I think that's great. So keep it up. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. So first of all, I want to say that I'm really honored to serve the people that I serve. It's been an incredible experience working for ITEP for almost 22 years. I've learned so much. I am embarrassed about the way I was when I started 22 years ago, and I appreciate your patience with me as I learn more and more about all different cultures and traditional ecological knowledge and all kinds of things that are just an honor to be a part of. So I'm going to talk fast because we have a lot of things to present to you. So any questions you can put in the chat box. If you see here, this is my great colleague, Josie Kamkoff, whom we hired in June to work with us because we've got so much going on at ITEP and so much going on about QA and also about data. So I'm going to provide you with a little information about our online courses and then show you some tools. Because I'm going to be showing some screens, I also videoed an overview of these tools. And if you guys go to the tab in the session, there's a handout that has links as well as these slides. But if you Google Melinda Ronca, you'll find my email. And all these tools are for you. They're constantly evolving and changing, and we try to accommodate any changes that EPA has in their guidance, updates to instrumentation. So basically, I rely on you guys providing us feedback for doing my job. So I'm going to first talk about QA fundamentals. So we have 2 online courses regarding QA and QAPPs. The first is Quality Assurance Fundamentals. And in this course, this is in our online course, and if you look at the handouts, there's a link. But if you just Google Scholar and ITEP, you'll come up with our online courses. We have a lot of great courses. And our first course in the QAPP curriculum is Quality Assurance Fundamentals. And in this course, we go through an example project. So the generous Seldovia village in Alaska worked with us to put together this course because the project that they were doing was similar to projects done by so many agencies all over the country, which is to get an assessment of road dust, right? So I was working with her and said, let's put this online because so many people have similar questions and similar projects. All of our courses online are to help you make your job easier. And basically the assignments are your project. So your QAPP is your project and your assignments in our courses. So in the Quality Assurance Fundamentals, which is the first course, we introduce you to terminology. What the heck is QA, QC? What is different about them? What is precision? What is bias? But we start with both QA fundamentals and in our QAPP writing course with the basic question of why are we making these measurements? You want to produce results from your project that are valid for your purposes. So it's really easy to gather data and then have it used for something else. You want to make sure that whatever your objectives are as an agency, you design your program so that you can answer the questions that you have about your environment. It's a common sense approach. This is your project. So it has to make sense to you or else you're probably not going to do what it says. We go over basic data management in QA fundamentals. I have to sneak in some little bit of Excel. It's really super introductory to look at the difference between precision and bias for a temperature probe in an ice water bath because everybody has to measure temperature. And we include videos and examples and links. But again, the assignments are your work. So we want to make sure that in our courses, we don't just like tack on additional assignments. Basically, you're getting your job done as you proceed through the course. So that's our first course, Quality Assurance Fundamentals. Then our second course is QAPP Writing. And in this course, it's longer, of course, because writing a QAPP is a big job. We used to have our QAPP courses as classroom courses. And so I would work with people for a month ahead of time, bring your instrumentation manuals, bring your work plan. And it was really hard for people to bring all the material to the classroom that they needed to write a QAPP. And in addition to material, it also takes time because there's always more than one person involved in a QAPP. And so it takes time to write. And so over the years, we decided that it really isn't helpful to people to come all the way to Flagstaff or Las Vegas or wherever we were having the QAPP workshop and then leave with the QAPP started and not finished. We really want to make sure that we work with people as long as it takes. So these courses don't have set time periods. In some cases, you're fitting this in addition to all the other work that you're doing. So we basically it's a rolling enrollment and you can proceed however fast or however slow works for you. But the first question, again, in QAPP development is why are we making these measurements? And you want to make sure that it may be that EPA or other agencies, National Weather Service or AirNow or somebody may want to use your data for other purposes. But for your purposes, you need to make sure that your data are going to be such that you can answer those questions that you have of your environment. My great colleague Josie has put some fun things into QAPP writing. Like there's this little interactive flashcard system that goes through every single element and asks the questions. And again, we totally follow EPA guidance. So whatever the most recent guidance is from EPA, we incorporate it. We try to stay up to date with any regional questions or issues or priorities. Because of course, many tribal agencies are in various EPA regions. The borders of tribes don't necessarily follow EPA regional borders. So we want to make sure that on a national level, all our material is exactly consistent with EPA's national guidance. And we have a ton of resources, including like all those EPA guidance documents we have in this course. We have information even for water quality and solid waste, although we don't have examples for water quality and solid waste. But we're very interested if you guys have any QAPPs you'd like to share, things like that. We try to make this a collaboration so that it will grow over time. We also have an online library where we have example SOPs, example field data sheets, example QAPPs, and that link is in that handout in the tab for this session. In the course, a lot of times people really just want to have a shell, a QAPP shell that has the table of contents and the headings to get started. We've got tons of videos, all the elements we have videos for, basically like a 3-minute video saying, this should be in element A6, blah, 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 blah. And then we have this interactive QAPP checklist that's taken directly from the EPA national guidance. And then we have inspirational videos like our celebrity guest speaker, Pamela Atcity from Morongo. We have videos of people saying, yes, this is hard, but keep it up and it will serve you well. So again, we've got these resources like the QAPP shell that you can fill in. A lot of times people may have an old QAPP that they can copy and paste from, or they want to copy and paste new material into that. And we have example text for starting points. I think it does anybody a disservice to give them something and then have them just swap out the names. I mean, basically we'll work with you however works for you, but we wanted to provide a starting point because a lot of times people just want to see like, well, what does a QAPP even look like for this kind of a project? So we have example text for the NAAQS pollutants, as well as meteorological monitoring and a QAPP for measuring indoor radon. And again, we've got all these videos on what should go into each element, as well as things like data quality indicators. What are data quality indicators? So I've stuck in like little 5-minute videos that explain basically answers to all the questions that we've gotten over the years. So let me just pause and see, does anybody have any questions about our QA fundamentals or QAPP writing? Nope. You guys are like, oh, QAPPs. I know, they're terrible, but they have to be done. And they actually do serve as in a sense, like a Bible for your whole project, especially if you have procedures as attachments and you've got everything together. Then I also wanted to tell you about some tools that we have. I had a video on one of our tools called Turbo QAPP, but I don't think we have time to show it this morning. I will tell you guys that my personal mission is to make sure that everything that we provide to you is open source, which means that it's free. And the code, whatever code or system or database that you use, is available to anybody. So we have 2 tools for data management. And one of them is the Tribal Data Toolbox, and we have a whole online course on that. And then the other is the Quality Review and Exchange System for Tribes called Crest. And I'm going to show you a video on Crest, but I also want to tell you first a little bit about Turbo QAPP. So Turbo QAPP is a tool that the idea is that it's supposed to be like TurboTax. So you go through and you fill out forms, and at the end it compiles your QAPP based upon what you've entered, like why are we making these measurements? Just type in a few sentences. And that is available right now. If anybody's interested in downloading that, email me and I can send you a download link. I am working to find funds, about maybe $15,000, to make it open source. So basically my dream is to make a wiki QAPP and have people be able to contribute to it. And we can do that using open source tools and the cloud now. So that was my beg for $15,000. But Turbo QAPP is useful as well. So we have a variety of tools. We found that not everything works for everybody, right? Some people love Turbo QAPP. Other people want to watch videos and start with something written and go through it. Other people want professional assistance, and we're very happy to work with people. We can talk over the elements of your QAPP, whatever you guys want. We know that just providing one tool or one resource that doesn't work for everybody. So that introduction being said, now let me figure out how to show you this video on Crest. La la la.
I can no longer hear Melinda. You guys hear Melinda?
I don't hear anything.
No.
I don't. Okay.
Melinda, if you want
Data, all the documentation is stored in Crest, including whatever is pertinent to the site operator to support the validity of the data, like scanned logbook pages, even copies of site photographs. All that information can be stored in Crest associated with a set of data. And then the owner of the data, the tribal agency who is managing that site, can grant access to some of their data and documentation to another tribe who is qualified, because perhaps even though they may be 2,000 miles away, they're performing similar measurements with very similar and sometimes identical equipment, and they can grant review to this person to review some of their data. So now I'll show you real briefly some of the features, but let me start off by reiterating this is free to tribes. This is written using open source software so that ITEP will pay the cloud storage fees for the data. We will pay the services that this uses. We will keep it up to date with the most recent AQS codes and any other factors that are important so that this can be a platform that is useful for tribal agencies over time. So just to review the QC and QA features of Crest, let me show you first the navigation tree items under air data. So there's the feature of data review, which of course is where all the action is for looking at the data, comparing different parameters, adding QC measurement results and performing the calculation of relative percent difference, and then preparing the AQS submission file for QC results. And then also AQS submission. If you're submitting your data to AQS, there's the node-to-node feature that sends the data directly from Crest to AQS. So just under the data review summary, and thanks to Celine Bethel from the Yarrington Paiute tribe of Yarrington, and you could see here that these are all the different parameters that she has coming in. We've also imported even 2018 and 2019 data, but these are the parameters that are streaming in now. Let's just look at her 5-minute data for these two parameters for this time period. And you can see that there are some gaps in the month of July. This can be backfilled. And if you wanted to say look at in closer detail at a particular period of time, what's really great about Crest too is it forces documentation, which is huge. In all the audits I ever did, or all the audits I ever got, the constant refrain of the auditor is more documentation. So Crest doesn't allow you, say, to perform a level 1 review or attach an AQS null value code without adding a note. So the site operator would mark the level 1 complete when she's satisfied that the data meet the requirements that she has in her QAPP and she's uploaded any pertinent documentation. And then the second level reviewer, the independent QA reviewer, if that's what Celine decides to do, performs the level 2 review. And in that case, there may be things that are off-site that are looked at. For example, another site in Air Now that is downwind or pertinent. So now let me show you the quality control feature. We go to quality control under air data, and our agency is ITEP. So I am going to add a zero span check for my ozone analyzer, and Crest asks for the information that is required by AQS for the different types of QC check that you select. So for example, if I'm selecting a 1-point QC, it's going to ask me for 1 concentration. If I select an annual performance evaluation, it's going to ask me for multiple concentrations because that is what AQS requires for an annual performance evaluation for gaseous analyzers to be complete, including checking those various ranges. For continuous PM analyzers, flow rate, of just a flow rate verification, or a semi-annual flow rate audit. I'm going to do a zero span to show you how this happens for an ozone analyzer, for example. And now I save the identifying information for this QC check, and now you can see that since I said I wanted to enter the data from a zero span, it asks me for 2 different rows of data in terms of the known value and the measured value, both the zero check and the span check. It calculates the percent difference, and if you decide to send this directly to AQS, you can do this even from the QC data entry feature. This is stored, and then the person who is doing the level 2 data review can have access to the QC data that's pertinent. The admin is pertinent to QA because it includes the logging. So for you as an administrator for your site, you would have access to all the logs for everything that happened with your setup. This is also backed up every night. Again, this is managed by ITEP. It's open source. So if you wanted to get the code for this or any part of it, it is available to you. Okay, I think you can hear me now. Good. I'm really sorry about the sound, and our really nice host told me what to do, and I just forgot all about it. So at the beginning, I basically said that one of the issues that I've had in assisting agencies over the decades with QAPPs is that really small agencies do not have somebody who's independent of the data gathering operations to review the data. And that's just a fact of any small agency, especially rural agencies. You know, you could be a small agency around Phoenix and work with another tribe in the Phoenix area, but not if you're hundreds of miles away from another agency. So this is a cloud tool, Crest, that can provide a system for agencies reviewing one another's data as somebody completely independent from the data gathering operations. And that is just one of the tools in Crest, but that was really important to me to provide at least some way of doing that. And that's it for my presentations. And I really appreciate your guys' time. Again, I'm honored to be here, and I've been honored to work with you guys. So be sure to communicate, and I can send you links. You can download the handout, and we're here for you.
Thank you, Melinda. While I get my part of the PowerPoint up, Licia, I did see a question a while back in the chat box for Melinda. Could you get that for her?
Yeah, there are 2 questions. I think Sonia was looking for tribes that may be able to help with the QAPP, kind of as like a resource. She says she knows ITEP can't give that information out, but if you take an ITEP course, you can be in contact with other tribes that may be using similar equipment.
Yes. Yeah. You know, that's really all we do is provide a forum for sharing information. So, you know, putting people in contact with one another is a big part of what we do.
Okay, great. And then Camille would like you to post the download to Turbo QAPP in the chat box. Can you do that?
Ooh, how tricky. I will try to do that. Good idea.
If not, you can email it to one of us and I'm sure we'll figure some way to distribute it.
I think I'll be able to figure out while Audrey is talking.
Okay, great. Okay. And I think that's all I see for questions.
I did get a question that I answered about data being uploaded. And yes, and in fact, it doesn't have to be air data. A lot of times people will have additional data, like they say that they're polling and they've got a column in their data that monitors airflow or something. And you can create whatever data import you want with whatever parameters. You could monitor for the blueness of the sky or whatever it is and store that data in Crest.
Great.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
We can.
Awesome. Oops. Let me get, and of course it goes there. So to those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Audrey Johnson, and I am the Quality Assurance Manager of EPA Region 9. I saw a lot of familiar names in the chat box, and it's lovely to see you. Before I became the manager, I worked in the Tribal Water Program for 15 years. So I'm so happy to still be able to connect with you guys through our talk and annual conference. And I know, just like Melinda said, everybody loves to write their QAPP. I'm just going to go with that. I know it's not our favorite thing to do, but it is an important part of your project management, especially as you have environmental concerns and you want to collect data to learn more about those and how to find solutions. One thing that I really wanted to discuss today was the actual draft quality directives that are currently out. The tribal consultation period started at the very beginning of September 1st. There were 2 informational webinars that were provided September 22nd and 24th of this year. And the actual comment period closes for our tribes on November 6th. These are the 2 documents that were sent out from headquarters for review. It's the directive policy and the directive procedure. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, or probably not the first, but this is a very, it's definitely not in plain English. This is definitely something that even I just completed my comments. So we had agency-wide review, which was completed on just this past Friday. And it took me a while to get through this and make sure that I was properly advocating for our grantees here in Region 9. One of the reasons that these changes are occurring is it's been 20 years since EPA has updated the quality directives. So there's a variety of things. There's obviously a reason that, the agency decided to move forward on doing, some changes and having a draft that people could comment on. One of them is consistency. Making sure that, we're up to date with the ASQ and ANSI E4 2014 principles, change in terminology. So you will now find in all of your grants terms and conditions and everything, well, if this is finalized, we'll start to use the term environmental information, which is broader than just collection of environmental data. Again, there's another change in terminology, which talks about the environmental information operations. So it's the collection, production, evaluation, or use of environmental information. So even if you're not physically doing a grab sample, but you're utilizing somebody else's data to make decisions about your environment, you would need to write a QAPP about how you're going to use that data, how you're going to make those decisions, what standards you're comparing that data to, so on and so forth. Again, you know, you have all, many of you who have been working in EPA grants for a long time know that, you know, it can be very confusing about the various policies and procedures that have come out over the years, and what's, you know, what's currently existing, what's currently the most, you know, available document. So this actual policy will actually integrate those into what we have, you know, provided as far as guidance and procedures over the last 20 years. One of the things that we are going to ask, at least the EPA regions, is have our RAs actually conduct an annual certification of quality of the data that EPA is collecting. And then finally, there was a lot of confusion between our 2106, which kind of tied in a lot of those new policies and procedures that happened. And what we're going to do is get rid of that completely, and all of the information that had been written in 2106 will be available in one document. Like I said, this is a during this time when the draft came out from headquarters at the beginning of September, we did do a concurrent review. So it was the first time I had actually seen these documents as well as you, and I actually had to submit my comments this past Friday. Tribal organizations have, and tribal governments have, until November 6th to actually comment. And I think the number one thing that I want to share with you, the greatest change I see, or the greatest clarification that needs to be made in these documents, is that a QMP should, I personally believe that a QMP, or a quality management plan, should not be required for every single program. I think that should be up to, it should be based upon your project objectives. I think it should be based, I think decisions around what is applicable QA documentation should also tie into the resources that we are giving you for your projects. I'm not saying that a QAPP isn't important. It's a very important document, but I think it is extremely burdensome to ask a lot of the grantees that I work with on a daily basis to not only write a QAPP, but also define what a quality management plan and what your QA policy within your organization looks like. I feel like that is covered in the QAPP, and it directly aligns with, you know, the goals that you are trying to reach. So I actually provided you with the comments that I submitted. I submitted about 14 pages of comments, but these were the two big ones that I thought you guys would be interested in. I highly encourage you to provide comments to this, because it is something that will affect your work in the future if this is finalized. I think, yeah. And so here is, Melinda we didn't put Melinda's email address into the contact information, but I am going to go ahead and stop sharing because I can't see the chat box and I can't see you guys, but this PowerPoint is available in the media tab, which I put into the chat box earlier. I will put that in again, and then I'm just going to open it up for questions. So hold on just 1 minute.
Audrey, this is Lisa. Can I add the things?
Oh yes, definitely. Please do, Lisa.
One of the main things that concerns me is the broad reach of this policy directive. I have seen such language that includes, we'll need a quality assurance project plan for the use of data, which seems to me to be indefinitely overbroad, because the use of data is, well, we use data in our emails. So, and you can imagine what questions that would bring up when we're trying to do a quality assurance project plan for the use of data, including others' data that they develop, information like NOAA has for in our EIS systems and that kind of thing. So that's confounding to me. I find it overly burdensome as well. And Audrey, I'm glad you hit those two issues right on the head. And I'd love to see 14 more pages, but that's me, because I'm. Here's the thing: it's really difficult to ask, in my opinion, to ask tribes to comment on EPA's internal documents. So even though the HQ and Region 9 in this session is making an attempt to let us be sure to be involved and know what's going on, it's just absolutely difficult to try to comment on an agency's, outside of our own agency's policies and procedures. So that's one thing. But I am working in a work group, or supposed to be working on a work group on quality assurance project plans with headquarters under the EELC, the E-Enterprise Leadership Council. And what the last discussion I was on was saying that they're trying to come up with language to put these in our award documents, that all information, all data collection and the use of data will be required to have a QAPP. And so it is going to affect us. Maybe some of you guys are able to understand clearly what that quality assurance process is and how to deal with it. I'm not one of them. So I'm looking forward to the questions.
The only other question I see, Audrey, is when is it suitable to use an SAP as opposed to a QAPP?
So a sampling and analysis plan, SAP, that it really is on a case-by-case basis. I think the best way for me to be able to give a better, answer to that question is to actually have Sona, if you want to give me a call and we can talk about your project. I think that would absolutely, I could actually answer that for your particular question. A SAP tends to be a one-time sampling event. Is kind of the broader kind of answer to that question. A QAPP really looks at a larger project. But in order for me to better, provide you exactly the answer that you need, Sona, I would, please email me, give me a call, and we can actually discuss your project and determine what is the best, what's the most appropriate QA documentation. Are there any other questions? I do want to hit on something that Lisa said. I agree about, how difficult, and especially in this time. I know that you guys have a lot of things going on. You're down on resources given the COVID response. I know through my work with you, many of you wear a lot of different hats, which is, why Melinda brought up the QA independence issue is such a struggle. I understand that. That is something, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of give you the really broad, if you can comment on anything, comment on this. I really encourage you to submit something, even if it's through Region 9 RTalk. I think that it would be helpful in headquarters understanding a little bit more about the burdens that you guys are facing, particularly right now, but also the resource constraints that you're under most of the time. And so I really hope that this is helpful to you. If you want to discuss it further, again, I am available, and we have until November 6th to talk about it. So please avail yourselves to me, because I am more than happy to have that discussion with you.
Audrey,
Oh, yes.
this is Leroy from Gila River.
Hi.
Can you share, you know, the level 1, 2, 3, and 4 QAPPs that I don't know, I only seen it like under outreach under like emission inventories, but you know, the level 1 is the most stringent QAPP,
Yes.
where level 4 is just a general QAPP. Can you share that in ways of, you know, and then there's multimedia, you know, there's water quality, air quality, and then others like pesticide also. Can you
Right.
share how those fit into the various areas?
How they fit into the various areas. Um,
How they apply?
so, I mean, we could go down all the list of QAPPs right now. I don't think we'd have enough time. I will put into the chat box, however, the website for EPA Region 9 QA group, and all of those guidances, all of the category 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, some of the brownfields templates, water templates. I can do that and then be able to put it on the media tab and certainly in the chat box for you. Would that be helpful?
In a ways, because we are covering a lot of programs, multimedia programs. You know, like I said, you know, we just go straight to the top, and we aim for the QAPP, where it's more stringent and where we are looking at data gathering, where it requires legally defensible data types. So
Exactly.
then there are other types. So we don't want to scare everyone away, basically, is what I'm saying. And then
No.
at the same time, we have this policy that is coming up, and you know, your EPA seems to be taking it through a legal process and calling it consultation, and seems like for the road ahead, it's going to be a policy and a requirement to where, you know, it's going to strain tribes from participating, and you know, because of resources. And there's not much is mentioned about resources in those areas, and you know, tribes are basically at the bottom end. Thank you.
Yes, no, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And yes, I don't want to scare everybody away from, you know, putting together a QAPP and getting it, having it be a part of your program. I mean, like I said, it is a requirement. However, I do want to mention that, you know, one of the things that I expect my staff to do, and certainly me as well, is if you call me and you have a question, or if your PO calls me and they want to set up a scoping meeting, we enjoy that one-on-one time. We enjoy being able to talk to you and help you identify what is the most appropriate documentation, like Leroy was saying about, you know, is it really the, you know, category 1, or is it category 4 where it's outreach and education? Does that make the most sense for your project goals and what, you know, the money you've received under your grant? So again, it's called a scoping meeting. I really don't think of it as a scoping meeting. It's more of a, you know, let's start you off on the right foot so you don't get so frustrated about trying to write something that you think needs to be there. This is more of a, you know, contact us so that we can start you off on the right path, and we'll make sure that you have the appropriate documentation that's commensurate with your project goals and the resources that you receive.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry, Lisa. Well, I think, Audrey, it is hard to echo Leroy's question. If we could have like a giant table of all the different kinds of projects, including emissions inventories, then, and what level of QAPP would be required for that type of project, that would help so much, because right now we basically say that's up to your EPA project officer and QA manager. And it's, you know, so basically what we do now is we help everybody write a 24 element QAPP, because maybe that's what will be needed. And it's a lot easier to take stuff out than put new stuff in. But such a table that was like national guidance would be so helpful.
I love that idea. And in fact, I think Lisa and you and I can bring that back to the e-enterprise program. I think that would be great. I absolutely see that as a good kind of guideline for starting. I still think scoping sessions or discussions are really helpful. So you're not writing that 24 element QAPP and realizing you didn't need all that. But I love that as just kind of like a tool to be able to kind of hone in on where you should start. So I think we should bring that back to the e-enterprise group, Melinda. I think that's great.
I think
And
that's a great idea too, Melinda. Excuse me, this is Lisa again. I wanted to thank Leroy for bringing up the level 1 to level 4 QAPPs. I had never heard of that, so I quickly wrote down some notes on that. And I appreciate Audrey's talk about the scoping meetings, and I think she's talking about scoping meetings for when you're getting ready to start a QAPP. So that's an important thing. I didn't do it. I will do it from now on when we need a QAPP. And there was one more thing that was really important, and I didn't write it down. I think that we can make up some comments to submit on this proposal, and the burdens of and talk about the really burdensome aspects that we anticipate from instituting this new directive and the new policy. My other thing was, and it's important, and I remembered it. It's I'm assuming that if this is to take place and when we need to start writing a bunch of QAPPs for our different environmental data that we're using, that GAP's going to fund them. And I believe that it is written in the GAP guidance. So if anybody comes up with some program requirements for you, don't forget to put something in your GAP work plan to address these quality assurance issues. Thanks.
okay. Was there any other questions that came up in the chat?
No, nothing else came up. I just wanted to let Camille know that if you want the download to the QAPP, email Melinda at melinda.ronca-battista@nau.edu. It's embedded in that chat, or we can send that to you because you'll need to log into the website in order to get it.
Also, I think I saw somebody requested the documents that you referred to, Audrey, that you posted in your slideshow. And those are, I think those are easy to put on the website, the conference website.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, thank
yeah,
you.
I saw that and I actually wrote the note down. So after this presentation, I will send it and make sure that those are a part of the media tab as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Everybody's QAPPed out.
You can make jokes like that all day.
You have to.
You do. Well, I have to say, I really appreciate Lisa and Melinda's work. As Lisa talked about, she has been, and Melinda and I have all been participating on a national e-enterprise project to kind of, provide further training to tribes on QA, try and get all of the regions to review and approve QAPPs more quickly. We are tracking our ability to approve QAPPs within 60 days. That's just EPA a standard that we are working at, and my group has improved by 33% over the course of the year through that tracking. So we're doing fairly well. And I really want to say that, what's great about having Melinda and Lisa's participation is it really is bringing to the national forefront the thoughts around consistency across regions on how we review QAPPs, timeliness, transparency. And so I just want to thank Lisa and Melinda for continuing to work on those projects. And I also want to thank you guys for partnering with me on this presentation today. I think that there was a lot of helpful tools that were shared, and we will be sure to definitely put up the policy directives on the media tab as well.
And then also to Leroy's question about consultation, I don't know if that's appropriate right now, but I just want to make sure his question gets answered somehow.
Definitely. And what I will do is I will also include the consultation representative for the headquarters team, so that, you know, you can make sure that that is expressed as well. Again, this is a headquarters run consultation. I'm just going to leave it at that right now.
Yeah, I think we tried to let them know that their 2 telephone calls did not a consultation make. That consultation needs to be far more than that. Really, what they offered us is a comment period specific for us, and that's they're not the first ones to do that. They're not going to be the last ones to treat tribes and affected tribal programs in the same manner that they treat the public. So we're just going to have to keep hammering them on that. And thanks, Leroy, for mentioning that. Oh, and real quickly, I also wanted to say my plot worked. It looks like we may have somebody interested in helping be the work group lead for the quality assurance group, Audrey. Audrey will be the co-chair. So that's really, really nice. And I just want to thank Ryan for his interest, and we'll see if we can make that work as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
No, I'm excited to start that group up again. And I thank you so much for volunteering and for making that plug in the beginning, Lisa. I think this is going to be great. Okay. I think unless there are no other questions, I know it's hard to be on your computer screen all day, every day. We may give you just a few minutes back on your time. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll get those things up on the media tab right after this.
Look forward to
Audrey.
QAPPing.
Thank you, Melinda. It's great to talk with you guys again.
QAPP on. QAPP on.
I like it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Goodbye.